Morning. Welcome to Mixed Level Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. Please find a comfortable seat to start. So yesterday, we reviewed the idea of samskaras or ingrained patterns in our thinking and acting, and how we could observe those patterns and use our awareness to make conscious choices if those patterns no longer serve us. And today I wanted to quote the Yoga Sutras 1.14. Perfection in practice comes when one continues to practice with sincerity and respect for a long period of time without any interruption. So one of the keys to changing our habits or patterns when we realize that they're no longer serving us are these qualities described in Yoga International, explaining that Yoga Sutra. Powerful habits are formed over a long period of time, and therefore the process of undoing them will also take a long time. Do your practice for a long period of time in order to generate new, spiritually illuminating, positive, constructive habit patterns that can neutralize your so-called negative habit patterns and initiate a long-lasting transformation from within. Second, to breathe life into your practice of changing that pattern, you must do it regularly. You may have noticed in your own life that it's hard to start a practice in the first place, and even harder to restart it once you've let it lapse. Irregularity breeds procrastination, a hurdle that is hard to overcome. And then finally, I love this ingredient. Do your practice with love and respect. Otherwise, it will be a continuous struggle. Practicing without joy is torture. So your attitude is the ground for self-discipline. If you'll remember that that's in the second limb or stage of practicing yoga, it's called tapas in Sanskrit. But as we do it from a sense of love, this renewed practice, this new habit that we are creating and ingraining, when we color it with the attitude of love, then we can transform self-discipline into devotion and surrender into the beauty of it. Thus, it becomes an inspired action, not an obligation. And how empowering is that? So to sum it up, duration, long period of time, plus consistency, regularity of practice, and love, your attitude behind it. 3 empowering ways to transform your habits into something you desire to create in your life. So as we move our bodies, often in patterns in the physical yoga, can we become aware of patterns that are already embedded in how we move our bodies, like our energetic approach, whether we tend to push far to our edge many a times, or we tend to step back. Can we find that awareness to bring ourselves to a place of renewed intention, of ingraining positive habits, especially of attitude, especially of mind, as we allocate our last 5 minutes of optional sitting meditation time at the end. So now as you sit here, take a look at your legs, and if they are crossed, I invite you to switch the cross of your legs, get an even stretch through your 2 hips, ground through your left and right sitting bones, and then just let your palms rest in your lap, and even close your eyes. Allow this moment of stillness to pause, observe what's present in you, alive in you right now. Setting intentions are also a powerful way to transform habits. What is your intention here in this practice? Perhaps is there anything you're willing to release that is ready to be let go of in order for you to create space for something you know that you would like to build now? As you allow a deeper inhalation, feel what you're sitting on and press downward into that support. As you open your lips to exhale, slowly feel the rise up of energy through your spine, allowing the crown of your head to rise towards the center. As you deepen and slow down the waves of your in and out breath, create a conscious flow. We're going to move into a breath practice called Bhastrika Pranayama, and it's a way to really get out of the mind and just get into the present moment, as well as enlivening, adding more oxygen. So it's done with belly breaths, using your diaphragm, closing your lips. Equal inhalations where the breath rises from the belly into the lungs, and equal exhalations where you breathe out through your nose. Feel that full expansion. And then Bhastrika is done rhythmically, and there's a physical action if you want to add the arms. You begin with your elbows bent apart like this, hands like fists. And as you inhale, you raise your arms straight, shoulders stay relaxed, and you spread your fingers wide. As you exhale, you rebend your elbows, refist your hands. And it kind of looks like this. Really being mindful to take in as much breath. So I'm going to start the timer for 1 minute of that practice. Do as you can and notice how you feel afterwards. Bhastrika Pranayama. Ready? Begin. And relax. Pause. Allow a moment. Just observe. Remember that different pranayamas or breath techniques are different ways to direct life force in your body and shift how you feel energetically. So let's continue to warm up using Ujjayi Pranayama as you close your lips. Gently narrow the back of your throat as you breathe in and out through your nose and even thus creating a soft whispering sound that helps your mind to stay focused. Balancing the breath. Continuing this breath technique. Softly open your eyes if they're still closed and straighten your left leg forward. Step your right foot just in front of your right hip, holding onto your shin. As you flex your left foot, root down to your left and right sitting bones. And see if you can sit up a little taller, broadening your chest, relaxing your shoulders. As you exhale, backstroke your right hand behind your pelvis while twisting at your waist. Inhale, sit up a little taller, maybe even raise your left arm if you'd like to add the leverage of hooking your left elbow outside your right thigh. Exhale, perhaps twisting a little bit. Think about 3 more breaths. Today's physical practice will include some core strengthening as per request. as well as some spinal release, especially through these twists and hip opening. At the end of your exhalation, unwind your spine and take your right ankle to cross over your left thigh like a figure 4 shape. Now flexing both feet. As you sit up tall again, lift your sternum at the middle of your chest, keep your throat open, and with a feeling of a flat back, exhale, begin to bow from your hips, crawling your fingertips forward. Taking this breath by breath, feel the counter forces of rooting down your pelvis while slightly lifting your chest, lengthening your spine as you fold. Now leading from your chest, inhale, slowly rise up and straighten your right leg forward. Step your left foot onto the ground just in front of your hip, holding onto your shin. As you flex your right foot, sit up a little taller, breathe in. And then exhale, backstroke your left hand as I'm mirroring you here. You're behind your pelvis, twisting. Inhale, sit up a little taller. Feel that the crown of your head stacks above your tailbone within the curvature of your spine. Exhale, let your belly hollow, creating more space to deepen the twist. If you want to add some more leverage, you could hook your right elbow outside of your left. And as you breathe out, unwind your spine. Take your left ankle, and as you flex your left foot, cross the ankle over your right thigh like a figure 4. Lift your spine again, ground your pelvis as you bow, breath by breath. Observe the natural space between your chin and chest. Open passageway for your breath to flow. Last 2 breaths. Now start to lift again from the middle of your chest. Inhale to rise up. Curl onto hands and knees, all fours. And if you have blocks, you may want to set them aside at the top of your mat on both sides. As you set your knees about 2 inches behind your hips, set your wrists right under your shoulders, but let's give the inner wrists and forearms a stretch by spinning out your hands to whatever degree is comfortable, fingertips facing the outer edges of your mat, or maybe even back towards your knees. Now entering cat-cow, listen to your breath. As you inhale, glide your spine forward before coiling your chest up, looking towards the sky. As you exhale, contract your belly, looking down as you round your back. About 4 more cycles. Inhale, lengthen your spine, then contract right underneath your shoulder blades, broadening your chest into cow. Exhale, hollow your belly, dropping your head and tailbone to dome into cat. Keep going. On your next breath out, relax to a neutral spine and spin your index fingers to face forward, parallel to each other, thumbs wide and flat. Tuck your toes behind you. Bend your knees a lot as you push the ground away with your hands, lifting your hips as high as possible. Try to create a stretch in your back where it feels almost flat. Dropping your skull, broaden across your shoulders by rotating your triceps or outer upper arms towards the ground, lifting the shoulders back. And you might want to take a few breaths of slowly shifting around, loosening up your body by pedaling your feet in place. Softly shaking and nodding your head. Feel your breath in. Match the length of your breath out. Practicing consistency in our breathing here. Now let's begin to hold still for a few breaths in downward facing dog. Lift your sitting bones as high as you can, perhaps even bending your knees, especially at the start. The front creases of your hips, press them back, and then let your heels feel heavy, seeking the ground, even if they don't touch it. Let your skull be heavy as you steady your eyes on one spot on the floor towards your feet. And let's take 3 more breaths. A modified vinyasa. On your next inhale, glide forward into the top of a push-up plank pose. We'll stay for a few breaths. Now you could either choose full plank with legs straight or add the support of lowering your knees. Either way, stack your shoulders over your wrists and gaze on the ground in front of your hands. Lift your navel towards your back. And now to modify coming down, start with the knees on the floor, glide forward, lower your chin, then slide your chest, belly, and pelvis to the ground. Let's start in Sphinx pose, a gentle back bend. Slide your elbows forward so they're just in front of your shoulders. Forearms are parallel, palms face down. Now, your ankles are your hips width apart. Your feet are parallel as you press down through the top so much that your knees are not actually touching the floor, though your pelvis is. Now, inward gaze just below your shoulder blades. Contract that part of your back to broaden your collarbones and lift your sternum between them. Gaze on the floor ahead and feel the length in the back of your neck. Now let's take 2 more breaths. You always have the option of making your back bend more gentle like this, as opposed to Cobra, or even upward facing dog, which adds more intensity. If you do feel ready for Cobra, slide your hands back so that your wrists meet your floating wrists, bending your elbows directly above your wrists and hugging them close to your sides. Keep the same energy of your legs and then coil your chest up, again, looking slightly down, Cobra pose. And with an exhale, slowly lower your chest, then your forehead. Now you could try Cobra again or come back to Sphinx. Otherwise, if you're ready to turn it up a notch, ground through the tops of your feet so much that as you press your hands down, your pelvis also lifts off the ground. As you draw your shoulder heads back to stack right above your wrists, your chest broadens forward of your wrists as you gaze slightly up. Upward facing dog. Tucking your toes behind, scoop your belly in to lift your pelvis high, returning to downward facing dog. Let's take a few breaths there. So in downward dog, first and foremost, you want to feel the lengthening of your back. So that may require bending the knees if there's any tightness in your hamstrings or your back. As you inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhaling, bend your right knee, turn open at your hip. Now let's take a few breaths, opening the inner thighs apart. And if you like, you could circle your right leg a few times. Maybe even circle your right foot. Keep relaxing your neck. Feel that your breath is calm. Now on your next inhale, straighten your right leg behind you, curl the toes to face the ground. As you exhale, round forward, bending the knee towards your nose. To lightly step your right foot just inside of your right hand. Lowering your back knee, untuck your toes. Separate your legs hips distance and make sure your front knee's right on top of the heel. Now without actually moving your foot, imagine you're dragging your right foot towards the rear of your mat so that energy helps you to stabilize as you rise. Arms reaching overhead in Anjaneyasana. A few breaths. Feel a slight lift of your frontal hip bones as you allow your tailbone to further lengthen downward. Lift your back ribs away from it as you soften your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Now take hold of your left wrist with your right hand. Keep your legs still and lift your spine a little taller as you inhale. Now exhaling, side bend to your right, little by little. We'll take a few breaths of that. Keep softening your shoulder heads down. Hug your front ribs inward towards the back body. Notice that your right leg is still facing forward, not splaying open. Now as you rise up again, bring your right thumb to the outer crease of your right hip, drawing it firmly down to feel anchored as you breathe in to stretch your spine forward. Now twisting at your waist, turn your chest to face the right wall and either lower your left hand on the ground or the floor just beneath your left shoulder, raising your right arm, or go further and hook your left elbow outside your right thigh. Whether you choose to open your arms wide or join your hands in prayer, let's take about 4 more breaths of venturing perhaps deeper into the twist. And as we welcome balance in every posture, notice the stability you create at your lower back by not twisting your pelvis. Consciously keeping left and right hips the same height as you focus the twist just below your lowest ribs. Now take a look at your right foot. Set your 2 hands down to frame it, perhaps on blocks if needed. And then flexing your right toes up off the floor, begin to scissor your right hip further back, straightening your right leg into half split. Find a little bit of an arch, a cobra pose in your chest rising as you lengthen your spine. Keep your belly firm as you hinge, breath by breath, closer to your right leg. Ardha Hanumanasana. Rebending your right knee, step back into your version of plank pose. Let's take 3 breaths there. Really defining full length in your spine, broadening of your chest as you gaze forward, and that aliveness at your center as you slightly lift your navel towards your spine. Now, either lower modified knees, chin, then slide down, or this time coming through Chaturanga Dandasana. That's gliding forward, bending your elbows close to your side ribs so they bend 90 degrees before you lower all the way for Cobra, or you flip your toes and coil up to Upward Dog. Maybe even Sphinx pose. And then as you exhale, lift your hips back to downward facing. Take a few breaths. From downward dog, inhale, raise your left leg. Exhaling, bend your left knee and turn open at your hip. Now you could hold still, you could rotate your left leg a few times. Feel the consistency of your breathing and focus. Then inhale, straighten your left leg and curl the left toes downward. Exhale, round forward, bending the knee towards your nose to gently step your left foot just inside of your left hand. Lower your right knee, untuck the toes, separate your legs hips width, front knee directly over heel. Imagine as if you're dragging your left heel back with no visible movement to root down as you rise up. Arms overhead in Anjaneyasana. Now visualize the bowl shape that is your pelvis. Can you align it balanced on left and right sides, balanced in front and back sides, with engagement at your abdomen? Then with your left hand, take hold of your right wrist, root down through both feet and lift up to your spine as you breathe in. To your left, exhale, side bend little by little. Rising up, your left thumb to hook the outer crease of your left hip down. Inhale, stretch your spine forward, trace the midline of your mat. At your waistline, exhale, twist to your left. Either lower your right hand just below your right shoulder, maybe on a block, left arm up, Or add hooking your right elbow outside the left thigh, whether arms wide open or hands together in prayer. Feel stability through your legs as you balance the height of your two hips, directing your twist across your waist. Feel ease in your neck, your shoulders, face, and breath. Take a look at your left foot, and as you breathe out, frame it with your two hands, maybe even on blocks if you like. Flex your left toes off the ground and scissor your left back to straighten that leg. While broadening your chest forward and slightly up, elongate your spine. Hinge little by little from your hips. Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. So now that we practice two options, a modified vinyasa and passing through Chaturanga Dandasana the traditional way, we're going to exit this pose differently to start a new flow. Bend your left knee, look at the top of your mat. And as you breathe out, step your right foot hips distance from your left in a forward fold. Parallel your feet, press the ground or your legs, and inhale, rise halfway up, looking forward. Exhale, fold in, down to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead to rise, palms touch towards the sky. Exhale, trace your thumbs down your center line, arms by your sides in mountain. Let's establish the route with a slow vinyasa, then we'll come into a more continuous flow. As you shift your weight onto your right foot, imagine as though you're balancing a book on your head. So try to keep your spine upright, feel your center alive, and inhale, bend your left knee off the floor in front of you, flexing the foot as you raise your arms forward, palms up. Exhale, take a giant slow step back with the ball of your left foot landing towards the rear of your mat, legs hips width apart in crescent lunge. Inhale, raise your arms overhead, direct your tailbone downward. Keep your hips still, and exhale, rotate your chest to face your right wall, opening your arms wide like a T in an upright spinal twist. Now look forward again and inhale. Backstroke your left arm towards your rear wall, right arm towards your front wall, and spin your left heel to the ground. We're coming into warrior two. Slide your right foot a few inches to your left to align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. In warrior two, wrap your right outer hip slightly beneath your body to turn out your front leg, so much that the middle of your right knee aligns with your middle right toe facing the front of your mat. Left leg turning in slightly and straightens. Firm the top of your left thigh bone towards the right wide width of your mat. Now feel how your spine is tall and centered between your feet. As you steady your gaze just past your right hand, let's take one more inhalation. Keep your right knee bent. As you exhale, sweep your right palm facing up overhead towards your rear wall in a lateral stretch. Landing your left hand gently on your left leg or wrapping your left arm behind your back, maybe catching the top of your right thigh. Peaceful warrior. Take a full cycle of breath in and out. On your next inhale, cartwheel your hands in your right foot, stepping back into your version of plank. Exhale to lower in your own vinyasa. Keep going. Sphinx, cobra, or upward facing dog. We'll meet in downward facing dog for 3 to 5 breaths. Let your body be still as you cultivate focus. Physically, steady your gaze on one spot as you cultivate focus. Mentally,
Now bending your knees, lift your heels and hips high. Look forward of your hands. At the end of your exhale, walk or float your feet to the top of your mat. Hips distance apart, forward fold. Inhale, press your legs to the ground to lengthen halfway. Exhale, bow in. Inhale, sweep your arms towards the sky as you gaze up, palms touch. Exhale, stand tall in mountain pose. Now a little more continuous flow, side two. Inhale, raise your right foot in front, bend the knee, palms face up. Exhale, slowly step the ball of your right foot all the way back into crescent lunge. Inhale, raise your arms, spine and pelvis upright. Stay vertical in the spine. Exhale, open the arms and twist to your left side. Look forward and inhale, backstroke your right arm. Left arm reaches forward, align left heel to arch of right foot, warrior two. Let's take a few breaths, just feeling the alignment here. So left outer hip wraps under your body slightly. Left knee and middle toe aligned to face the front of your mat. Right leg slightly turns in and straight as you firm the top of your right thigh bone back towards the left wide width of your mat. And with shoulders relaxed, let's take another inhale. Flip your left palm to face up and exhale, sweep it overhead towards the rear wall. Right hand either lands on right leg or wrap your right arm behind your back. Maybe catch the top of your left thigh. Peaceful warrior. With your next inhale, cartwheel your hands to the floor in plank pose. Continue on to your chosen vinyasa, which could be cat-cow, or you can skip it all together anytime. Listening to your needs, moment by moment. When you do arrive in downward facing, let's take about 3 steady breaths, resteadying our bodies and minds. Look forward when you're ready. Bottom of your exhale, walk or float to the top of your mat. From a forward fold, inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, bow in. Root down to rise tall, palms touch. Exhale to get at your heart. Let's take one more on each side now, allowing your attention to a steady breath. To use the movements for a meditation, a moving meditation. Here we go. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Inhale, lift your left knee forward, flex the foot, arms forward. Exhale, slowly step ball of your left foot back into a high lunge. Inhale, raise your arms, tall and crescent pose. Twist right. Exhale, open your arms, vertical spine as you twist. Look forward. Inhale, backstroke the left arm. Turn left to warrior two, right heel to left arch. Exhale, peaceful warrior, right palm sweeps overhead towards your rear wall. Inhale, touch the earth in plank pose. Exhale, lower, your choice, vinyasa or not. Downward facing, 3 to 5 breaths. Bottom of your exhale. When you're ready, walk or float to the front of your mat. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, gaze up, palms meet. Exhale, back to mountain pose. Last one. Shift your weight onto your left foot. Inhale, raise your right knee, arms forward. Exhale, step ball of your right foot back into a high lunge. Inhale, raise your arms, tall spine in crescent pose. Stay vertical as you exhale, twist to your left, open your arms wide. Look forward, inhale, turn right, back choke the right arm into warrior two, heel to arch. Inhale, flip the left palm up, sweep back into peaceful warrior. Exhale, lower your hands in plank pose. Keep going, vinyasa or not. Three to 5 deep breaths. Bending your knees, look in front of you. Bottom of your exhale, walk or float to the top of your mat. This time bring your feet together so they touch, preparing for chair pose. Bend your knees together to touch. Sink your weight towards your heels and maybe play with the rigor of grazing the ground with your fingertips and keeping your hips that low, staying a few breaths. Now, as you glide your shin bones back, make sure you could look down and actually see your toes from where you are. Then gaze forward, broaden your chest, relax your shoulders down. Feel your front ribs hugging close to your back body as your tailbone drops a little lower, and slowly meets the ground. Coming into boat pose. So as you raise your legs, you can keep your knees bent as you sit up tall, or you could straighten your legs. You could hold the backs of your thighs for more support. You could hold the floor or keep the arms forward. Maybe even close your eyes and focus on calm, balanced breaths. Imagine you could breathe into the base or bottom of your spine. Take a deep inhale there. Exhale, 7. Now, just below your belly button, take a deep breath. Exhale, 6. At your solar plexus, just below your lowest ribs, inhale. Exhale, 5. The center of your chest, breathe in. Exhale, 4. At your throat, inhale. Exhale, 3. At the center of your forehead, breathe in. Exhale, 2. Now at the crown of your head, inhale and rise a little taller in your spine. Exhaling very slowly, lower your feet to the ground and drop your knees wide apart. We did it. Bring the soles of your feet together. Heels close to your pelvis. Lift up your sternum, your crown. Relax your shoulders down, and then start to hinge from your hips, breath by breath. Bound angle pose. So in awakening our solar plexus, energetically speaking, we call upon balancing ego, if you're talking about chakras, and being able to separate our thoughts from ourselves. The strengthening of willpower, a remembrance of what is core or important to ourselves in the long term, especially spiritually. So lead with your chest and inhale to slowly rise. Keep that in mind as we play with building some fire there a little bit more. So take your hands to your outer thighs, lift your knees, and separate your feet hips width onto the ground. As you press down to your pelvis and feet, rebound and lift up to your spine. Shoulders relaxed, arms reaching forward, palms up. Now take several breaths and sustain the action of lowering onto your back. As we awaken our team of muscles that support our spine, that we call core. From your neck to your glutes, all around your torso. And when you are lying onto your back, we're going to take 3 rounds of moving bridge pose. So first, slide your feet back where you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite. If you have a yoga block, you may want that support for your lower back by hugging the skinniest width of it firmly between your thighs. Now you have the feet set up, spread your toes, ground your shoulders, and tilt your chin back slightly away from your chest. So we're gonna go up on an inhale, down on an exhale, very slowly 3 times. As you press down to your feet, inhale, raise your pelvis, lengthen the fronts of your thighs forward, and energetically, but not visibly, drag your heels back towards your glutes, coiling your chest up. And as you exhale, articulate the release of your upper vertebra, middle spine, and eventually your tailbone. Now at your own pace of breath, try 2 more rounds of that moving bridge pose. Consciously activating your hamstrings and gently your glutes as you lift your pelvis. Here, awakening back muscles of our core. And as you're ready, slowly lower. Put the block aside if you have one between your thighs. Open your arms wide like a T. Round your shoulders, palms face down. Keep the natural curve and space of your neck. Now lift your knees to stack above your hips, legs together, feet together. Point or flex your feet. Draw your navel deeper towards your spine. Feel the lengthening of your lower back. Inhale here. As you exhale, very slowly with control, lower your knees to your right side to hover as close to the ground as you can without collapsing onto the floor, nor lifting your left shoulder from the ground. And as you inhale again, slow and controlled, lift your knees up to center. Exhaling, lower your knees to the left. Same thing, hover without collapsing. Keep grounding your right shoulder. Inhale up to center. Now, if you feel like adding some more rigor, straighten your legs from here on. Exhale, hover to the right. And if the legs are straight, you might try to hover your feet towards your right hand. Inhale up to center. Rather than using momentum, sustained, controlled action. Maybe hover your feet towards your left. Inhale, center. Got about 3 more on each side. Exhale to the right. If your legs are straight, hover your feet more towards the upper right corner of your room, diagonally. Inhale slowly to center. Exhale, if the legs are straight, hover towards upper left corner of your room, diagonally. Inhale, center. Exhale to the right. If the legs are straight, hover even more towards the front of your room, but slightly to the right, diagonally. Inhale, center. Are you still smiling? Bringing that love attitude into the practice. Exhale to the left. Do symmetrically to the left side as you did to the right. Okay, the last one on each side. Choose. Inhale, center. Your legs are straight, whatever angle you perhaps yet. Over to the right. Inhale, center. Really nice and controlled. Exhale to the left symmetrically. Inhale, center. And then bend your knees. Take hold of your bent knees and allow a moment to circle your legs at your hips. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then extend your legs straight up towards the sky so that your ankles, knees, and hips stack. Point or flex your feet again. Raise your arms and interlace your fingers, pointing your index fingers up. As you breathe in, engage the belly again. Keep your pelvis heavy. As you exhale, lift your head and shoulders and twist to your right, pointing your index fingers towards the upper right corner of your room. You could press your left arm against your right thigh. Now let's stay lifted and twisting. Inhale, lower your left leg forward to hover just 2 inches off the floor. Again, slow and controlled. Exhale, lift your left leg again to meet the right. 4 more. Take your time with it. Inhale, lower to hover. It's not about quantity as much as it is about quality. Exhale, lift. Inhale, hover. Keep spiraling the torso, reaching the index fingers forward. Exhale, lift. Inhale, hover. Is this the last one? Exhale, lift. I think it is. Bring the head and shoulders down. Maybe switch the thumb that's interlaced on top. Point your index fingers towards the sky. Point or flex your feet. Breathe in, draw your belly closer to your spine. Breathe out, contract your belly, lifting the head and shoulders, twist to your left side. Keep breathing, and you might press your right arm against your left thigh. Inhale, slowly lower your right leg forward, hovering about 2 inches off the ground. Exhale, lift your right leg to meet the left. 4 more rounds with your breath. Inhale, lower. Keep reaching your index fingers forward. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. And I forgot to say this on the first side. Inhale, lower. If your head needs support, you can use your left palm behind your skull. Exhale, lift. I think we're on the last one. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. And this time, either take supine frog pose, splaying the knees apart, or happy baby, lifting the sky. Either way, try to keep your pelvis heavy on the ground, helping to lengthen your lower back as you relax your shoulders on the floor. Breathe into your nose, fill up your belly, stick out your tongue, open your mouth and eyes wide, lion's breath. One more time, deep belly breath in. This time maybe add crossing your eyes, the traditional lion's breath. Then take your outer thighs and close your knees together, rock and roll forward and back, build some momentum, and we'll meet in chair pose, standing at the top of our mats. Now this is where all that started. Bring your hands together at your heart. Shift your weight onto your left foot. Turn out your right leg, and as you flex your right foot, cross your right ankle just on top of your left thigh like a figure. Laying your right thigh open, draw your 2 sitting bones evenly behind you and down as you feel the awakeness at your belly. Now you could stay here. You could raise the arms overhead. You could vary it that way. You could lower your hands on blocks or the floor if your hips are willing. Or you could add another spinal twist. Back stroking your left hand to your sacrum, lower back, and twisting at your waist to press the back of your right hand or forearm against your flexed right sole, turning your chest to the left. So whatever variation you chose, let's give it about 3 more deep breaths. Come back through center in that 4-legged chair or that figure 4 chair. And with an exhale, rise up to stand and set your right foot down. Breathe in and let it go. Keep touching, bend your knees to touch, come back to your point. Hands together at your heart. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Turn out your left leg. Flex your left foot and cross your left ankle over your right thigh like a figure 4. Laying your left thigh open. Equally draw your sitting bones back and down. Feel the aliveness at your belly center. Now play with it here and turn into what might need to be different on this side. Other arms up, stay the same. Hands down on blocks or the ground. Maybe it's this. Back stroking right hand to your sacrum. Left arm up as you turn your rib cage face the right wall. Maybe press the back of left hand, forearm or elbow against the arch of left foot. Wherever you are, commit to 3 more steady breaths. Unwind back to the figure 4 chair pose. Inhale there. Exhale to rise up. Let your feet come together. Bend your knees together. Inhale, chair. Hang in chair. See if you can lift your heels off the ground. Think of lifting your pelvic floor as you do this. If you have that, perhaps splay your knees apart. Keep the inner edges of your feet touching. And begin to sink your pelvis down behind you. Reaching your arms forward. Crawling into forward like child's pose hybrid with a squat. Or coming into arm balance called Crow Bakasana. If you're choosing the latter, plant your hands flat, 1 foot in front of your toes. Like Dandasana with your arms, keep them parallel, then hollow your belly, lifting your hips. Hug your knees high up towards your armpits. Bend your elbows back and look beyond your fingertips on the ground to shift your weight forward. Rooting down through your hands, rooting down through your knees to rise with buoyancy. Bring your feet together. Whatever variation you're in, let's take 3 more breaths. We'll eventually meet lying face down, so if you want to jump back and crow through Chaturanga, you could come down that way. Otherwise, we'll come all the way down to lie on our bellies. Once you are on the ground, spread your arms wide like wings, preparing for locust pose, Shalabhasana. Separate your ankles, hips distance, and try to keep them just that wide apart. You can even bring them narrower. Point your toes back and try to keep your legs, your feet parallel to each other. Now, as you inhale, press your heels back so much, lifting your legs, lifting your chest, gently lift your head, arms rise through, in fact, everything you can lift off the floor. You're in the pose, counting 5 to 10 breaths, your own, before lowering to rest. As you roll the fronts of your shoulders back, feel the lift and broadening of your chest, in which you also allow your palms to slightly turn forward. Soften your shoulders away from your neck, so you don't feel you're straining your neck. Look slightly down. Relax your face. And you bring that positive attitude into the face, perhaps with a big smile. Notice the physical and energetic shifts a little smile can do, even if it's pretend at the start. And then when you're ready, let it all go. Perhaps you pigeon toe your feet to help open your sacrum. And maybe rest your head to one side. Let's take 3 deep belly breaths, massaging your belly against the earth. So you know we've done quite a bit of spinal twisting and core work, both great ways to stimulate digestion and flow internally, helping to let go of what you no longer need, physically and energetically. So let's lower the right ear to the ground and slide your right arm straight open to the right, palm face down. Press the earth away with your left hand beside your left shoulder and start to roll over onto your right hip, stacking your feet. Send your right shoulder blade further down your back, opening your neck. And notice how much weight you'd like to put on this inner right shoulder to open up. You might even step your left foot to the ground behind you. Maybe even wrap your left arm behind you. Just experimenting for another 4 breaths. Slowly begin to unravel onto your belly, back to center. Switching sides, slide your left arm straight out to the left, palm face down. Lower your left ear towards your mat and press the ground away with your right hand, gently rolling over to your left hip. Stacking your feet, take a moment to soften your left shoulder blade down your back. As you recognize the patterns you hold in your body, notice if there's something different that your left shoulder needs than your right shoulder. And as you work on reestablishing balance, sometimes we need to give one side a little more, a little less, in working towards that balance. How much weight do you need to step back with? Let's take breaths here. Now, isn't it wonderful how our bodies are made to constantly rebalance? And that when it's out of balance, our bodies definitely tell us any form of this. As we listen and tune in and establish loving, intimate relationships with our bodies as messengers, really respond in ways most beneficial to us. Let's come back to center. Make your way into child's pose. Bring your feet together, knees together, or even very wide apart. Rest your forehead towards the ground. Empty this breath completely as we use a cooling pranayama now. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale through the mouth. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale through the nose. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, mouth. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more on your own. In 5, out 7. Please begin to make your way into your chosen position to rest in portion of asana. A few minutes. Whether you lie on your back, use props, anything to get comfortable so your body feels free to relax. You might choose to just lay out on the floor and keep your head down, close your eyes. about to enter our optional 5 minutes sitting in silent meditation. If you choose to join us, you may want to gently move your body if you're still in Shavasana. Ease your body up to sit in a way that's comfortable and allows you to be alert. Continue to become aware of patterns so that we can consciously choose which to perpetuate or which to let go of. Let's take this moment to simply observe our minds. I'm going to set the timer now for 5 minutes. allow your awareness and in your physical body and to your physical surroundings. You're going to close the practice, maybe joining your hands together at your heart and bowing in. Continuing this practice of self-study that yoga is beyond the hour of physical yoga practice on your mat, and into our conversations, into our alone times, into ways that we interact. Where yoga is most potent. So let's close chanting one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows light in you. Namaste.